Alrighty. Extremism and moderation. Why in the world did I title it that? Well, I'm listening to some folks. Once again, I'm not going to give their names. I don't feel like getting into it. But, it's something that I've seen a lot of in my study of politics, or, the politics of what goes on today. You know, I could have called this unity and strife, or whichever, like I said, whichever dialectic you want to have. But the thing is that there's this move for extremism and moderation. So here's what occurred. Here's what works. Is that people start off with an extreme ideology or something like that, and then they may change that once they once they say something. Once they kind of moderate over time. This is like what happens with Vosh, right? Fuck it, I'll just use his name. So for example, the whole gay pride stuff, or the what is the fetish pride, or whatever cringe shit it was. I don't remember. Anyway, what does he say? He's like, maybe we should separate kids from the freaky deaky, sex stuff that occurs at pride parades. He received a lot of backlash because because they were like, well, actually, pride was always a form of revolution, this and that. We throw bricks at cop cars and shit like that. And it was so funny to me because just he argued with his chat at least on 3 different streams, what I remember. Or I think it was King Parade, whatever the fucking bullshit. But it's like, it made me laugh because like, it's the same thing when he said, "Oh well, you should actually do what the cops tell you to do. You should obey the cops." And because of that, he got so much shit for it. It made me laugh because once again, it's like, that's the audience that you create. You are your audience, and it's like now of course, any mention of certain things and whatnot, they get blocked on his GG chat. And I guess this is what happens, with with most content creators, right? Where it's just like they moderate the hell out of people, and it's only a very narrow view. And then I heard him today on his stream where it's like, no gays at pride parade. But it's just so ridiculous because he basically didn't give in that much, really. I mean, he didn't really change that much. He's like, well, yeah, we can still have kids at parades, but we just have to separate the stuff. So you can still do the freaky stuff just at night. And oh man, it's kind of like with the neocons. And they're arguing because basically this this anti-theist said basically anyone who is a follower of Muhammad is a piece of shit, this and that. And I'm like, oh man. And the thing is, man, it's just like they went on this whole long diatribe where it's like, well, we don't want you to actually hurt Muslims, but and then the deep South folks, it's just, it's such bullshit. It's just such pitiful stuff. Because it goes to show that these folks will have no institutional power. They don't have, it's just such cope. But at the end of the day, it goes to show that, they have, and this is something that Malcolm X has said, this is something that so many folks will say, arguing with their own people. And they'll say they have, Malcolm X said stuff like, I have more respect for a man who means what he says and says what he means. I have more respect for South Africa, who practices apartheid and practices segregation, preaches segregation and practices segregation. As a country like America who preaches integration and practices segregation, or is someone like as someone who comes out as an angel but is nothing but a devil, basically. I know I put up that clip on Uncle Thomas too. That's from Ice Cube's CD that I remember that was uploaded on. Very good quote. Like I said, I respect Malcolm X, knowing that he wasn't for me. You know, a lot of lefties try to they try to co-opt him. Like I say, a lot of these white lefties try to co-opt him. I don't like that. But anyway, we've seen this from these folks as well. The neocons who are just like, I have more respect for the ultra religious than for the like the liberal minded, moderate believers of Islam, this and that. It's just like, oh boy. And of course they go on and on about Charlie Hebdo. They didn't say anything about the French teacher who was beheaded. They don't say, but and of course they'll say the typical atheistic stuff where it's just like, basically religious people are schizophrenics, this and that. And it's just like, it's typical instigator type shit where it's just like they spout all this shit, and then when it comes to some sort of extremism, they're just like, I didn't have anything to do with it. It's like Eminem, yeah, I just said it. I didn't know if you do it or not. It's that type of thing. But it's just, ugh. So we see this that goes on, this type of thing where it's just like, oh, the extremists are so bad, and Islam, or Omar Mateen and all this stuff. It's just like, ugh. But then they'll support Israel, and we'll ignore how the Hasidic community is treated in Israel, and the fact that they don't want to join the IDF. But they don't care about that. They don't care about the fact that, there are people like Meir Kahane, this and that. They say nothing about that because the Holocaust occurred, so we don't talk about the rest. It's just like, oh, well, like I say, you can't change everybody's mind. But you know what? I was debating whether or not I'm going to put this up, and I decided I'm going to put it up. Whatever content, unless it's something that I feel like I should wait on, I'm going to go ahead and put it up. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do that. And you know what? I want to say this in closing. Sometimes I feel a bit like a coward. And I'll be honest with you, where it's like, the beef dies down or whatever between me and, primarily Jason Unruh, and then he puts cringe up there where it's just like, I feel like, oh man, I feel like I need to say something. And because of that, then it becomes a whole big thing. But I feel like it's necessary to do that. It's necessary to say that because, like, I don't know. And yeah, I'll talk with Comrade Net, this and that. But it's like, at the end of the day, I don't know. I didn't feel like getting into it. And, whichever. But it is what it is. For the most part, I try not to talk about it that much. I don't put like 20 or 30 videos about Jason Unruh. No, I don't. I pretty much just let him do his thing, Anyway, I think that's all I have to say. Hope y'all enjoy that. See you later, and a goodbye.